Hi, in this module 4, Loops Simple, we'll be looking into part 2 where we'll be learning simple while loop programs to find the sum of the natural numbers, product of the natural numbers. In the previous part, you would have looked into how to display these natural numbers, display the even numbers, display the odd numbers, display the numbers divisible by 3, and so on. But in this part 2, you will be actually learning how to find the sum of those natural numbers. Let's look into one program. Draw a flowchart and write a program to find the sum of first 5 natural numbers. So let's assume that the natural numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. It's not assumption, it is the natural numbers. So let's assume that we have 5 different buckets. So each bucket has some water. So the first bucket has 1 liter of water, second bucket has 2 liters, third bucket has 3 liters, fourth bucket has 4 liters, fifth bucket has 5 liters of water. Now all that you are supposed to do is to find the cumulative sum of all the water which is there in all the 5 buckets. So what I can do is I can buy another bucket called as sum, initialize it to 0 meaning that you have to remove all the water, even a drop of water, remove it from that sum bucket and then be ready. So the first step that you can do is pour the entire bucket, the first bucket, whatever water is there in that first bucket, into the sum bucket. So when you do that in programming, you will be writing it as sum plus 1. So here if you notice, it is little special. So sum is 0 and 1 is 1. 0 plus 1 will give you 1. So that indicates that 1 liter. But when you write the statement just as sum plus 1, the value of sum does not change. Please understand, the value of sum does not change. So when does the value of sum change? Only when you alter the value of sum. How do you alter? Assign it to some variable. How do you assign? So on the left hand side you will have to write sum equal to. So now what happens is, earlier sum was 0 plus 1 is 1, and that 1 will be assigned to some variable. Now this 1 will be poured into the sum bucket and sum will become 1. Similarly, take the second bucket which has 2 liters of water and then add it into the existing sum. Now what is the existing sum? It is the previous value. So previous sum was 1. 1 plus 2 gives me 3, and that 3 liters should be assigned to some variable. If you don't assign it to some variable, the value of sum still remains as 1. Please note this point. So now I am assigning it to sum, that is nothing but 2 liters of water is poured into sum. Now sum is 3, that is nothing but 3 liters of water, 3. And then next step, I think you would guess right now, all that you have to do is sum plus 3, that is previous sum was 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 is assigned to sum, 3 plus 3 is 6 and 6 is assigned to sum. Next step, sum plus 4, sum is 6, 6 plus 4 gives me 10 and that 10 is assigned to sum, and then 6 plus 4 is 10, and then sum plus 5. So my existing sum is 10, 10 plus 5 gives me 15 and that 15 should be assigned to sum. So totally sum will become 15, which is nothing but 15 liters. So the cumulative sum of all the water which is there in all the 5 buckets is 15 liters, which is nothing but sum of first 5 natural numbers. You can write the program like this with 6 different steps, but whenever the program is to find the sum of first 500 natural numbers, you can't keep sitting and writing sum equal to sum plus 1, sum equal to sum plus 2. In fact, one student had done that one. So copy paste, don't be a fool like that. So what you can do is, whenever there are statements where you can generalize, for example, for just leave away the first statement, you have this statement sum equal to sum plus 1. So if you notice here, all the variables, all the values are same, sum, here equal to, same operator, here same variable name, and then same operator plus. Only this numerical value is changing, integer from 1 to 5. So whenever it is varying, you can replace it with a variable. So what I'm going to do is, instead of writing sum plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to write sum plus I, which will be assigned to sum equal to sum plus I. If I run this statement, sum equal to sum plus I, with I as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, I still get the same result. So let's look into the flow chart of achieving this program. So in the flow chart, so first you have to start, and then I equal to 1, sum equal to 0. So just a variable I, and sum equal to 0. So I is 1, which is nothing but 1 liter. So first bucket, 1 is it less than equal to 5? Yes. Only if it is true, make sure that you assign it to, you add it into the sum bucket, sum equal to sum plus I. If so, once that is done, increment your I equal to I plus 1, I will become 2. So then 2 is it less than equal to 5? True, get inside. What is the value of I? 2. And what is the value of sum? 1. Earlier it was 1. 1 plus 2 will give you 3. Right now the value of sum is 3. I will become 3. 3 is it less than equal to 5? If it is true, yes it is true. So sum is 3 right now. 3 plus 3 will give you 6. Sum is 6. And then I will become 4. 4 is it less than equal to 5? Yes, get inside. So 4 is added to 6. 6 plus 4 gives you 10, and sum is 10. Now I equal to I plus 1, that is 4 plus 1 gives you 5. I becomes 5. 5 is less than equal to 5? Yes, get inside. Now my previous sum was 10. 10 plus 5 gives me 15. So sum value will be 15. Now I will become 6. Now is the crucial point. 6 is it less than equal to 5? False. If it is false, it just comes out of the loop. Now when it comes out of the loop, do you know what is accumulated in the sum bucket? 15. That is sum of first 5 natural numbers. That is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. And that which is equal to 15 has to be displayed. In flowchart, you can just use the pseudocode print and print the variable which you want to print. Print sum. Don't do this in program. In the program, you'll have to write the sum of first 5 natural numbers is sum. But in flowchart, it's still okay. But make sure that you write it in capital letters, and then you can eventually stop. This is how the flowchart is. Now, once what you can do is right now copy down this flowchart in your notebook, and then come back to the video, and then you can start off with the understanding the program. Program to find the sum of first 5 natural numbers. So I equal to 1. So start off with I is 1, and you have to go until 5. So if you have to go until 5, you have to write I is less than equal to 5. But you also have to have the sum container. So I'm going to declare the sum container in some variable. Sum is equals to 0. Now I have started with 1, but I'll go until 5. But while going, what are you planning to do? I'm planning to add I into sum bucket. So what I'll do is I'll assign it, I'll add it to sum and then assign it to sum. So I'll keep on adding I to sum. So sum is equals to sum plus I, and keep incrementing I so that I becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I becomes 6, 6 is it less than equal to 5? It should fail and exit. So when you exit, when you come out of this while, you have to display the sum, and when you display the sum of first 5 natural numbers is sum. So all that it will do is just display the sum. Write all these statements. Set of statements performing the task is nothing but a function. So I will put this entire statement, all the set of statements inside a function. Name of the function is main. This is the entry point for all the program, for this particular program for JVM. So now collection of functions form a class. So I'll put this function inside a class called as public class program 01. I hope you have understood this program. So what I'll do is I'll explain this part in BlueJ so that it will stay in your mind for a longer time. So let's open BlueJ over here. Oh. So I'm going to create a new class. I'll name the class as program01. So whatever is the code, I'll just delete all the default values. Let me just delete the default values, default code, and I'll retain only this public class. So first of all, always understand the aim of the program. Just don't start it off. Program to find the sum of first 5 natural numbers. So now you write public static void main string args. This is the default function. This is the starting function. So some of the schools might be writing it as public static void main without this parameters. It's still fine, absolutely fine. For BlueJ purpose, if you're writing it, you can skip this one. Otherwise, you will have to write string args. So now we will be we have to, first thing, always whenever you're trying to write a program, try to think what are all the variables which are supposed to be declared and initialized. So I'll be writing declaration and initialization over here. So I need a variable I which is initialized to 1, and I also need the sum variable which can be initialized to 0. Then I can write a loop to find the sum of first 5 natural numbers. So when I'm doing this one, I'll write while the termination condition while I is less than equal to 5. So when I write I equal to 5, keep on executing whatever is there in the while code. So I'm gonna keep adding the sum variable in I'm gonna add I variable, the value of I in sum every time. Also make sure that I keep incrementing I with 1. So when I compile this program, there is no errors, but what you have done is you have found the sum but you have not displayed. So always understand there should be input, then compute, then output. In this program, since there is no input, the declaration part, whatever variables which are required, that can be considered. So now display the sum. So then input, compute and output. The sum of first 5 natural numbers is equal to, so you can just write is equals to sum. That's it. So when I compile this code, there are 0 errors. I right click and call the main function. Because I have written string args, it is prompting me to give the command line arguments, but I'm not going to give anything. The sum of first 5 natural numbers is 15. So this is how the output will look like. What I wanted to teach you is the debugging part. This is very interesting. Apart from learning the program, if you can learn how computer actually executes, that is how you're supposed to think in the exam hall. So what I've done is I opened it in the editor and clicked in this space. So when I click in this space, a red color line appears highlighted, which is nothing but the breakpoint. Now look at the fun. When I run the program, it will exactly stop at that particular breakpoint. So when it stops at that particular breakpoint, so you can actually, yeah, I equal to 1. 1 is it less than equal to 5? True. Then 1 will be assigned to 1 will be added to sum. Initially sum is 0. 0 plus 1 will give me 1. Look at the green color, that is the line of control right now. So I equal to I plus 1, the value of I will increment. Now once it reaches the end of the while, that is the end of the first iteration, it goes to the second iteration and checks whether I is whether the condition is still true. The I value is 2 right now. 2 is it less than equal to 5? If it is true, then you will get inside, and that 2 gets added to sum. Earlier sum is 1, 1 plus 2 will give me 3. Now I will be incremented to 3. The I becomes 3. Now 3, is it less than equal to 5? Yes, true. So then add that 3 into sum. So sum is 3, 3 plus 3 gives you 6. Now sum becomes 6. Now I will be incremented. I was 3. Now 3 plus 1 is 4. So I becomes 4. 4, is it less than equal to 5? Yes, get inside. Sum. So your sum is 6. 6 plus 4 gives me 10. So sum is 10 right now. Now I should be incremented. I was 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So 5, is it less than equal to 5? Yes, true, get inside. So sum is 10. 10 plus 5 gives me 15, and that is assigned to sum. I increments, I will become 6. 6, is it less than equal to 5? True, get inside. So 6, is it less than equal to 5? False, and then it just exits the while loop. When it exits the while loop, only then you will have to display. So the sum of first 5 natural numbers is equal to sum. That's it. So when I execute this statement, the output would be the sum of first 5 natural numbers is 15, and then it reaches the end of the function. If you execute, it just terminates, it just ends. This is called as debugging. Whenever you make a mistake, it will be very helpful, but this is how the program works. You need to know the first iteration, second iteration. There are programs where they will ask you how many times does this loop executes. So that time you will have to know how to debug it in your mind. So can you tell me how many times does this loop execute? It executes 5 times. When I is 1, when I is 2, when I is 3, when I is 4, when I is 5. When I becomes 6, it fails and comes out, so it is not counted. So the number of times this loop executes is 5 times, and then comes outside and display. The common mistakes. What are the common mistakes? You might forget to declare the sum. So what happens? Sum says cannot find the variable sum. So this is a blunder. Now what most of the students do is, because they wouldn't have given a space here, so some of the students might just declare the variable here. Now this is also a blunder. Now what happens is, there are two mistakes. One is, you are using the variable and declaring the variable in the same statement. It is not possible. And one more thing is, you are declaring the variable inside while but accessing outside while. It's like you're trying to access Bangalore, which is inside India, in Pakistan. So if you are trying to access a variable which is declared inside this scope and trying to access outside the scope, it is not allowing. So these are the two errors. So make sure that you don't declare it here. You are supposed to declare the variable outside. Now compile. Now when I run the program, so I can just see the output window. So the output window is, the sum of first 5 natural numbers is equal to 15. So that's how this program works. Now if I want to change it to sum of first 10 natural numbers, so you can do that one as well. So compile. So it is going to run the program. How many times this loop will execute? 10 times. The sum of first 10 natural numbers is 55. So I hope you have understood this. Keep learning, keep growing.